Starting out, I painted this piece in Photoshop. I kept in mind what parts of this I wanted to animate and painted it according to that, keeping those parts on separate layers so it was easier to animate them later. When I was done painting this, I began exporting it into separate transparent PNG layers without backgrounds into a folder on my desktop so I could easily locate those files and bring them into After Effects and begin the animation process. The exported PNG files looked like this to give you an example of a setup that'll help you save time. I then created a new project in After Effects and dragged PNGs into the workspace and then organized them according to what was in front and what was behind each part. From that point on, I began to animate each layer one at a time, using the puppet pin tool up here at the top for the movement and using the project timeline down here at the bottom for the keyframing. The puppet pin tool in After Effects allows you to place pins onto your project to pin parts of it in place and to easily move other parts around. The timeline lets you animate using frames or a starting keyframe and ending keyframe, and then we'll do the rest. So I basically went to my layer, placed my pins, making my starting keyframe, then dragged my marker down on the timeline to where I wanted the next keyframe to be and moved my pinned object into its ending position. When I was happy with it, I pressed the U key on my keyboard to expand my view and show my keyframes so I could easily select them and press F9. F9 is a quick key command that toggles the ease in and out feature of the keyframe assistant menu up at the top. The drop-down animation menu on the top has a lot of things for keyframe assistance and interpolation assistance that you can play with. When I was happy with the individual layer animations, I went to my Layers menu up at the top and created a new null object. This is an invisible object that you're able to animate and parent or attach layers to, so they copy this animation. This is what I needed to do in order to get all the individual layers to move in unison up and down in this project. After my null animation was set, I used the parent and link menu, that is to the right of the layers, to parent and link these layers to this null object and have everything move together up and down. The last thing I did for this animation was add simple effects to the wings layers by right-clicking on the layers and going to the Layers Styles menu. This allowed me to add some glow and emission to the wings so that they stood out a bit more. I played back my animation a few times and spent some time fine-tuning it until I was ready to render it out. When I was happy with it, I went to the top File menu and selected Export Add to Render Queue to get it ready to render. And then I rendered and exported it to my desktop. Since the export in After Effects is kind of shit, I dragged this movie file into Premiere Pro when it was done, re-exported it from there for a better file and better codecs. But that was about it. Puppet warping animation works really well for painted things like this that you want to add a little bit of movement to, and it can be really fun to work on. There are also loads of videos up on YouTube already that can show you and teach you way more advanced things with After Effects animation if this is something that you're interested in learning yourself. Since everything I had to learn to make this was also found on YouTube, I'm going to link the 2 videos I learned these tricks from in After Effects on the bottom as well, in case any of you want to give those videos a peek and just to give them a shout out, because without them I wouldn't have been able to make this animation or video myself either. But yeah, that's the end of this one. Thanks for watching and have fun animating. Later.